the pass goes Stabler. Looking. He runs. He's at the 15. He throws. It is a touchdown Raiders. Touchdown Raiders. When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Get fired up. I ain't playing. I'm telling you, get fired up. Stand up. Get out of that chair, moron. It's time for the Degos. That's right, Murf and Sonny from the Dago Dungeon. You got it right here, live.
You know, sometimes when I listen to that intro, I get out of my chair and stand up and I start playing the old air guitar, and I'm remembering the days of Guitar Hero Metallica, and I get to relive some awesome moments. I love that intro. That's amazing. Anyway, welcome to the show. I am Sonny, the host of Raiders Fan Radio. With me in studio, as always, is Murf. Murf, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be back here in the Dago Dungeon as the co-host of Raiders Fan Radio.
Thank you for tuning in to Raiders Fan Radio. You can find us on Podcast Addict, iTunes, Stitcher, all over the internet, and on Twitter at Raiders Fan Radio, on Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio. Murf.
You can also find us at www.raidersfanradio.com. You can email the show at show@raidersfanradio.com. If you wish to reach Sonny and I individually, you can reach us at sonny@raidersfanradio.com or Murf, M-U-R-F, @raidersfanradio.com.
One of the best things about being on Raiders Fan Radio is that we get to choose the name of Raiders Fan Radio and represent Raiders Fan Radio everywhere we go as Raiders Fan Radio. Anything else, Murf?
We mean we're not the fan cast anymore?
All right. So here's the deal.
Let's get it out of the way.
We're going to spend 30 seconds on it and move on. For the last few weeks, we've been getting harassed by this company called Fancaster, saying our name infringed on their name. We sought out a pro bono attorney. He said he would represent us, but we would have to pay him travel costs and court fees, and it'd be around $3,000 or $4,000. Me and Murf don't make no money off this show. We don't want to make no money off the show. We do it for our passion for the Raiders. So we were like, all right, let's go put out a GoFundMe thing, see if we can raise money for it. We didn't really want to do that. I don't like begging for money. I know Murf don't like either of that. We're hardworking men. We earn our own money. But we put that out there. It's not gaining traction, so we're killing it. We're changing the name from Raiders Fancast to Raiders Fan Radio. Still the same concept, still the same show, still the same loudmouth hosts. And you can find us everywhere now at Raiders Fan Radio. This is the third name change in about 4 or 5 months here. We appreciate you sticking with us through these name changes. And unless the Raiders come after us for infringement, we should not be changing the name anytime soon. So, on Twitter, Facebook, Raiders Fan Radio. Appreciate you guys' support. Anything else, Murf, on this?
No, that's it. Let's let it die. Let's move on. And thank you for hanging in there with us as we go through this. But, yes, we're letting any other campaign towards anything in the past die. If you stop swimming, you die. Sonny, if you don't grow, you rot. It's time to move on.
Moving forward. All right, we have an interview coming up with Richard Cervera from the Las Vegas Booster Club for the Raiders. For the, I guess, Josh, for the next 3 years, do we say Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders, or do we still call them the Oakland Raiders? We call them the Oakland Raiders, right?
I'm gonna call them the Oakland Raiders as long as they're playing games in Oakland.
True.
So when the day they set foot in Las Vegas, I will happily refer to them as the Las Vegas Raiders. But until then, from the way things are looking, it may be sooner than we first expected. But
the Raiders,
yes, as of right now, as of today. Yeah, so the Stanford Raiders.
Gypsy Raiders.
No, hey, true that. Heck, they could be the San Jose State Spartan Raiders. I don't give a crap. But wherever they're playing, that's what I'm going to call them. So much like, hey, listen, I'd rather have the Las Vegas Raiders than the San Francisco 49ers that play in Santa Clara. How's that make any damn sense?
Yeah, ridiculous. Anyway, so we got an interview. Richard Cervera from the Raiders Booster Club out of Las Vegas. And stay tuned. I encourage you guys to listen to the entirety of the interview. It's only about 15 minutes long. He has a message at the end that really hit home. Gave Murf the chills when we did the interview. Pretty powerful stuff, I think, for Raider Nation and stuff. So here's that interview right now. All right, please welcome to the show, Richard Cervera, president of the Las Vegas Booster Club down there in Las Vegas, Nevada. Their club is officially sponsored through the Oakland/Las Vegas Raiders. And please welcome to the show, Richard. Richard, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Hey, appreciate you coming on. Richard, real quick, what are the origins of your Raider fandom? How did you become a Raiders fan?
Well, I actually went to a Raider game back in 1977 with my uncle, Oakland Coliseum against the Denver Broncos. And then when they moved, I was from L.A., so when they moved to L.A., I just, that was it.
And are you originally from? Are you from L.A. or from Vegas, or where are you from?
I'm from L.A. I grew up in L.A. And moved out here in Vegas in 1995.
Okay. So when did you first hear about the Raiders potentially moving to Vegas?
Well, it was on. It has been on our news media and everything else. They were saying that they're talking about building the stadium, and then at first I thought it was kind of just talk. With the whole Carson thing, the year before. So then I heard that Mark Davis was coming to talk to the commissioners, and then I took off of work and I made sure I was there, representing my club.
So how is you mentioned that you're there to represent your club, and what has it been? You heard about the meeting and you got involved in it. What has the community response been so far? Has that been something that's been consistent with what your response has been? Have you seen that from everybody, and not only from Raider fans, but what has the community as a whole been like? How has the overall response been since the Raiders made the announcement?
Well, it was like a mixed emotions. There's a lot of negative talk, positive talk. Because we have that reputation of being, hardcore and bad and criminals and everything else. So some of the people around here were kind of negative about it, but then there's other people who thought about the economic process we could get from it. The uplift we can with jobs and all the other stuff and more incomes and stuff. So, it's kind of mixed emotions.
Well, I think it's
here.
really cool that you brought up initially about how your fandom started. You mentioned that you went to a game with your uncle. That's the absolute origins of my fandom as well, is that, I attended games with my uncles. One of them is Sonny's dad, and they were huge Oakland Raider fans, old school Oakland Raider fans, and it obviously just coming up in that family, it really developed my fandom as a kid. How much are the Raiders have an existing fan base already in the Las Vegas area? Is that, a lot of times when we see franchises move, they have to really take a lot of time. Sometimes it takes 10 years to develop a new fan base. Is there already existing fans of the Raiders? How big is Raider Nation already in Las Vegas?
We're pretty humongous here in Vegas. We have at least 6 bars, Raider bars, and a couple booster clubs already in existence here. We get together a lot here, try to do some charity work, just to show that we're here.
So you mentioned there's 6 Raider bars. Are there other NFL teams that have bars there as well, or is that unique to the Raiders?
Oh no, there's a few other NFL team bars here, but I don't think there are as many as we have.
And so, Richard, a lot of the fans from the Bay Area are upset. They're losing their team, for the second time. As Josh stated,
Mm-hmm.
we're originally from the Bay Area, but we've moved to different places now, and so we try to go to a game once a year. Some people have personally attacked the city of Vegas, and then also maybe the residents of Vegas as well, stating that the residents of Vegas won't be able to fill up the stadium every single week, that the black hole, the mystique of the Oakland Coliseum that you witnessed in its heyday in the 70s is gone.
Mm-hmm.
now that we're moving to Vegas. Some have stated it's going to be the destination game for every other team, so we're going to have an influx of away fans for every other Raiders home game. It's going to weaken the home crowd. What do you think about that? Does that make you mad that they're disrespecting you, or is there truth to that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that they have every right to be pissed off about the move. When they were moving back from LA to Oakland, I was pissed. But it's one of the situations where it's best for the team, not for the best for the city or the fans. It's best for the team. If Oakland, the city of Oakland, would have put their heads together and actually put something together for the Raiders to build a new stadium there, I'll still be flying up to Oakland, every season. But as for Raider fans filling up the stadium, it's going to be like going to San Diego. Everybody travels to San Diego when we play the San Diego Chargers, and we take over that stadium. So for me, all the Arizona people, LA people, San Diego people, Central California people, Oakland people are going to be coming in to watch these games. If they love the Raiders, and then they follow the Raiders. It's not a city team. It's an NFL team. It's the Raiders. It's Raider Nation, not Oakland Raider Nation. It's Raider Nation. If they get pissed off, that's fine. They have every right to be, but in the long run, it's best for the team.
I agree. I think there's a lot of hubbub about it, which really isn't needed. I think that what's the trip to LA? 2.5 hours, 3 hours?
3 hours.
Yeah, and that's a shorter distance from LA to Oakland, and so I don't anticipate any issues there. It's gonna be interesting.
There's also been a lot of rhetoric out there about how much of a challenge that it's going to be for the team, for the actual players being in Las Vegas because of all of the distractions, because there's so much to do. And, I'm of the opinion that it doesn't matter where you live. Geography doesn't define you. You can get into trouble. You can find distractions anywhere in the world. But Vegas is the ultimate showcase for entertainment. And so having all of those options, having all of those things out there for the players to do while they're in town, as someone that lives there and someone that is around, with all the entertainment and everything that's available to you on a daily basis, do you think that it will have any kind of an impact on the players at all? Or does it become like anything that once you're there and you kind of live in it for a while, that it just becomes kind of another part of life and you just kind of focus on your day-to-day activities?
It's like, after a while, it's exciting in the beginning. Then at the end, it kind of trends off a little bit. The strip, and then it's like, the strip. It's not a everyday thing for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I think these guys are very professional. They got their heads together. They're not like Burgess from the Giants when he shot himself in the leg, or Talib from Denver who shot himself in the leg. And that didn't happen.
Yeah,
here
you
in
can
Vegas.
shoot yourself in the leg anywhere, huh?
Right. It doesn't have to be here in Vegas. We have a lot of entertainment. Absolutely. Can we have fun here? Absolutely. But these guys are professionals. NFL has these courses the rookies have to take, prior to the season starts. How to manage money, how to, present themselves in the community and everything else. If they really want to be professionals and be mentors to our children, then they ain't gonna act stupid. And I really don't know that many Raider players who get that much in trouble lately, besides one.
That's exactly right, and that's actually been a refreshing change for our team compared to what it has been in the past. It sure is nice that we got a bunch of choir boys now, on the team, and I would say that because of that, I mean, our roster is actually pretty well suited for this. When you look at the faith that's obviously prevalent on our team and the way that these guys kind of go about their business, I don't think that it's going to be that big of an issue at all. And I would even make the argument, and I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on it, I think if anything, it's going to be a bigger distraction for the visiting teams.
Well, absolutely, because this is going to be home. The players are going to want, hit the strip club or hit the tables or, hit the nightclubs. There's going to be a lot of temptation out here because, all the bars and all the clubs are going to want, hey, you get in for free, we'll get you a VIP table and everything else. They just got to keep their head straight. I think Carr who was being a great leader that he is, keep everybody in line, and make sure that everybody's focused when they come down here.
I think that's the key, is that we have solid leadership in place, not only in the coaching staff, but also the players as well. Because the best police is when the players can police themselves. And if your captain is Captain Choirboy, who says "gosh dang it" and "golly gee gosh darn" like Ned Flanders, that we're going to be okay. He can keep Donald Penn away from having another baby mama that he doesn't need to have, right?
Right.
Richard, what? Tell me about the Booster Club. How long has it been in existence? What are some things you guys do, and that kind of stuff?
Well, we've been together since 2010. We are a spin-off of another booster club, the Oakland Raiders Booster Club, Las Vegas chapter, who gets together at Legends Bar, and we all get to, we used to hang out, and then we kind of split up a little bit because there were some issues within the regime. And
infighting, huh?
Yeah, not infighting, just miscommunications and stuff like that, and nobody was talking to each other, so a band of us got together, and we started our own booster club. So now we just hang out. We get along with all the booster clubs. We get along with everybody in the bars. We just got together over at one of the big bars here and celebrated the move.
Awesome.
So
what are some community events you guys have done, if you do any community events?
Well, we've done the Party in the Desert, for a few years, where we get everybody together, got a lot of the super fans to come down, and we got some of the rappers to come down, Raider rappers, do vendors and do a party and stuff like that, do a little concert, so, get all of these guys together and raise money for charity and stuff like that. We'll do barbecues, get together and, play, did a flag football game once. Cinco de Mayo, we're taking over the Lucky Club Casino and Hooters here in town for, Blackout Vegas on the Cinco de Mayo weekend.
And have you guys, I know it's a few years away, have you guys started brainstorming or just kind of dreaming about what you're going to do once the Raiders move to town?
Well, we're trying to figure out, how we're going to put everything together so we can welcome all the fans into town. Make them feel welcome, make sure they, they have the great tailgate experience here like we do when we go to Oakland. They know that, our home is their home. We want to know that, because it's not Oakland, it doesn't mean we can't experience the same, family environment that we have, here,
I agree. I think that's what you said is huge. Your home is our home. And while it is the Oakland Raiders, the Raider Nation, and
absolutely,
we travel well. We're accepted everywhere we go. I'm up here in Oregon. Josh is in Tennessee. I always see Raider hats walking around. And whenever you do, it's more than just a nod. It's like, hey, what's up, man? How about the Raiders, huh? And it's a brotherhood essentially.
Right. Right.
I agree. It's cool.
To me, it's family. It's all family. We might disagree on certain things, but but we have one great thing in common, and that's the Raiders.
I agree. Josh, you got one last one for Richard?
Yeah, I got one last. So the Ultimate Raider, it's something that you said struck me kind of funny. So the Ultimate Raider fan, as we know, is Mark Davis. He's also a fan of P.F. Chang's, and he's a fan of Hooters. And you mentioned the Hooters Hotel and Casino.
Yeah.
You think that he's going to get an honorary wing at the Hooters Hotel and Casino, the Mark Davis wing, or what? I mean, that guy could probably spend all of his time there.
I wouldn't surprise me if they try to do that.
Nah, it'll be a special bowl of hot sauce for the honor of the
right? The Davis sauce.
Yeah, there you go.
The Davis sauce. There you go.
Yes.
All right, Richard.
It's gonna be kind of tangy.
Yeah, there you go. Kind of tangy. Again, we're talking to Richard Cervera, president of the Las Vegas Booster Club, officially sponsored through the Raiders. Richard, as we let you go here, we appreciate you coming on the show, taking the time out of your busy day. What's your message from a Raiders fan in Las Vegas to Raider Nation? What's something you'd want to put out there for everybody to hear and to take away from this from a guy who's a Raiders fan in Las Vegas?
Just like, we're all one. We're one nation. We're one family. We're the Raider Nation. We believe in that the Raiders and what they built through the years from Al Davis. Despite your feelings, don't turn your back. Don't jump ship. Stay with it. Stick with it. Everything will always work out the way we want it, and we're going to get some Super Bowls. We're going to get one in Oakland before we leave, and we're going to have one here in Vegas, and we're going to be the first team to have 3 Super Bowls in 3 different cities.
There you go. I love it. Love it.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Love it. Richard, where can people find you on the internet and stuff like that if they're interested in joining the club?
Just, look me up on the Oakland website. I'm on Facebook. Richard Cervera. Just look up Richard Cervera and Las Vegas Raider Nation on the Facebook. We have a Facebook page.
Awesome. Well, hey, appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely be seeing you in a few years when they come to town. We'll hit you up, and hopefully we can do some stuff then.
All right.
Take care.
All right. You too.
All right. Once again, we appreciate Richard Cervera for coming on the show. You can check him out on Twitter, Facebook, and they have the website, the official website on the Oakland Raiders. You can find a link there for their club. Murph, what are your thoughts walking away from that interview?
Well, as you mentioned going into it, I got chills listening to him with his parting shot for Raider Nation, and I think that he couldn't have said it better. That absolutely, look, let's remember this is Raider Nation, man. We're all in this together. It's at the end of the day, we're all Raider fans, and if we're not going to judge people that choose to hang up their silver and black because the Raiders are moved, whatever. That's your fandom. You do whatever you want with it. But I think that there is a lot to be said for someone that's willing to hang in there. You've been rooting for this team and supporting this team, have your time, energy invested into this team, and it's bigger than a city. It just frankly is. Conceptually, the Raider ideal is bigger than the city of Oakland. It just is. It doesn't mean I'm not upset or the rest of us aren't upset that they're leaving. But it's bigger than that. It's a much bigger picture there, and so I think that was a really important message. And then I think also too, they get heavily criticized about this, potential quote distraction, which I think is a way overused term in football, but or any sport for that matter. But the whole idea of the distraction. Look, man, eventually there are how many millions of people in Atlantic City, Tunica, Mississippi, Las Vegas, Reno, Tahoe, whatever, all the, New Orleans, anywhere where you can legally gamble and get yourself into all kinds of different kinds of trouble. How many people live and, have productive lives and are excellent members of society and family folk? And you can do it anywhere, man. Look, eventually it's just going to become home. That's it. So, could there be on the front end, could those distractions and the glitz and the glamour and the lights and all that stuff? Sure. I mean, I'm thinking back when I'm a 20-year-old kid, and if I got $1 million in my bank account, I might go play around and have some fun too. But at the end of the day, these guys are professional athletes, and they got there because they have a killer work ethic. So eventually that work ethic comes to play. You think Khalil Mack is going to get freaking busted, playing craps and, doing drugs and, hanging out with escorts and stuff at 3 a.m.? No. That's not the character of this team, first off. Second off, you don't have the time because of the work ethic of a player like that, or Derek Carr. These guys have these work ethics that got them to this level. They're not going to sacrifice that to go out and freaking, play blackjack till 3 a.m. I'm not worried at all. I think it's way overblown.
I think it is overblown. I remember I lived in Hawaii for a month, and about a month and a half when I was 20. And the first week it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And after that, it was like, all right, I gotta go to work and come back, And so it becomes normal. Everywhere you go, eventually becomes normal. And you make a good point. The Raiders, you don't become a professional athlete without being disciplined to a certain degree. Now, granted, everyone's a human being. Everyone has the same, temptations to a certain degree. We all get tempted. But they got discipline. They have work ethic. And on top of that, what we have now with this Raider team, which maybe we haven't had in the years past, is they have character. This Raider team has character, and it comes from the leader, Derek Carr. And that guy presents and from what we can all tell, backs it up. He's a man of the word. He's a man of the Lord. And I think he's going to have a big part in keeping the whole team focused on games, focused on practice, and not getting let it be a distraction. I thought Richard made a good point, or I don't know if it was him or it came up during the interview. I think the Raiders will benefit from being in Vegas because it's going to distract other teams more than it's going to distract the Raiders. Remember when we talked about that? Because the Raiders will be used to it. The players will be used to it. Maybe they go there, maybe the first month or two, oh, it's fun, let's go to this bar, the strip bar, whatever, right? But after a while, it just becomes home. You drive to work, you come home, you do your thing, right? Like the majority of the world. But when opposing teams come, I think that's when the distractions will come in and stuff. I think that's when the Pac-Man Jones of the world or the Tremont Brocks of the world will struggle with coming to Vegas and stuff. Could you imagine Johnny Manziel coming to a game in Vegas? I mean, come on, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that was a good point. I never thought of that before, but I think that's a great point.
Well, if you think of it in those terms, John, look at what Barrett Robbins did the week of the Super Bowl. That arguably it was one of the big factors in costing us that Super Bowl against the Bucs. But he went nuts. Because he was out of his environment. Now, that was a Super Bowl week, and the players are in town, plenty of time before game time and all that. Because of the chance for distraction, don't you know that especially if it's a team in close proximity, like we'll just use the Broncos as an example, okay, or either of the LA teams, don't you know that if there's a primetime game, if you got a 7 o'clock start Vegas time, don't you know that those teams are going to be rolling up, flying in at like 6:05 and get on the freaking bus and hightail it to the stadium so there's no opportunity for your players to get. Because you think of it, if you're an East Coast team, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you got to go to Vegas, or the New York Giants or somebody like that, and you got to come to Vegas, you usually got to come in a day or two ahead, right? You might have a practice at a local facility or something like that. Those are the teams that are going to be at risk for it. You're right. And I think like what Richard said, how many of these players are going to get contacted by local clubs, all that kind of stuff, they'd be, featured for some kind of night or whatever. I'm telling you, as a 20-some-odd-year-old man back then, it would have been incredibly tempting to me too. You think of, I got this, I can do it, I can handle it. Agree. We just preached about their work ethic and all that, but
they're still human. They're still human, man.
They're still human. And then something else you said I think is really cool.
Well, thank you.
You mentioned about Derek Carr. Oh, you're welcome. You mentioned about Derek Carr and about Derek Carr's faith, and there's no mistake that his faith is on display on the regular. What better than now that here we go, Derek Carr is going to play this year, probably last year under this contract before he gets a big old fat giant extension for $20-some-odd million. Don't you know that guy's not going to blow that money on at the brothel? He's not going to blow that money at the crab table. He's not going to go out and do it. You watch. He'll be building church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for real.
Or
it's pretty cool.
Combating the sex trafficking industry. I mean, think about all this stuff that goes on underground in Vegas.
Exactly.
Like, from a person of faith, like Derek Carr is coming from, essentially, you want to go to Vegas, right? Like, you don't want to go somewhere where everybody's not everybody's a believer.
Jesus wasn't hanging out. He wasn't hanging out with a bunch of people that were all, faithful and in the word. No, he was hanging out with prostitutes.
Yeah, so
those are the people that right?
So I would imagine there's a little bit of Derek Carr. It's like, all right, let's go do some work, off and on the field and stuff, and I honestly look forward to seeing what he does with that, because he's already been active in Oakland. He goes to local churches and preaches. They have the camp that they run that's faith-based and stuff. A lot of things they do. He's unabashed about his faith. He's leading the team prayers for both teams after each game and stuff like that, And so I really do look forward to seeing what he does with this move. And it's almost like it's all been set up, A few years ago, the Raiders moving to Vegas, oh, man, that would have been awful. Now, with the young nucleus that we have, man, it's a good thing. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun.
I promise you, if you got Derek Carr in a moment and hit him with the question, that he would say this was a ministry opportunity for him. I promise you he would say that. Like, you know what I mean? That's absolutely what he's going to use this as a God event.
Well,
in his
I think
life
Darren already
to
said
be able
so.
to reach out.
Yeah, his older brother Darren.
Oh, did he?
He already
Okay.
kind of said something
there you
similar
go.
and stuff. He was like, hey, let's go down there and do our thing and stuff. So, anyway,
There you go. I think it's cool, man. So it was good to hear some positivity from Richard on that. So thank you again to him for coming on the show. And we've had a handful of other booster clubs featured on here on Raider Fan Radio. It was good to talk to him, and I just it's nice to. And we're guilty of this too, as I think all Raider fans are. Sometimes we get caught up in the negative aspects of things, and it comes out periodically on the show. But it was nice to have somebody like that just lets the positivity fly, man. Like he's excited, as you would expect that he would be. But it's nice to hear that positive message coming from him, not only to the fans of the Las Vegas Raiders that are there local, but to Raider Nation as a whole. So I think it's good stuff.
I'm excited. We're team moving forward with the Raiders. We're not team hell bent on ditching our fandom and stuff like that. So, for the next 3 years, we're obviously pro Oakland. Let's get a Super Bowl. Let's get beast mode in for the next year or so and make a run.
Yeah. We're
We're definitely all about bringing a championship to the Raiders before they leave Oakland. But that said, we're also going to follow them to Vegas. And, if you're not on board with that, then do your thing and stuff. But me personally, after watching all kind of it's been 2 weeks now, almost 2.5 weeks, or I guess almost 2 weeks. After seeing everybody, I'm denouncing my fandom. I'm no longer going to games. I'm burning all my gear and stuff. I don't see how you can just turn your fandom off like that. Like, how can you just stop rooting for a team that you've supposedly rooted for your whole entire life? I don't understand that way of thinking, and so I'm definitely not subscribing to that theory and stuff like that. So we're pro Oakland and pro Vegas. We're pro Raiders, and that's really what it comes down to is we're pro Raiders wherever they go. We're pro Raiders.
Sonny, let me ask you a question. As much as we are pro Raiders, we also historically are pro A's. Is your A's fandom taking a little bit of a hit on this thing? After hearing all the stuff, the details that have come out, the A's were offered partial ownership of the Raiders. They had an opportunity to work with the Raiders before signing the 10-year lease. We know that of course, according to the internet, nothing happened before 2009. But back in 2006, 2007, the A's tried to move and were blocked by the San Francisco Giants. So all this whole rooted in Oakland stuff now that started, all the news that's come out, Sonny, my fandom for the A's is taking a little bit of a ding, and that's more worrisome to me than anything that's happened so far.
Yeah. I remember going to an A's game before I ever went to a Raiders game. I think I was probably
me too.
six or seven, going to an A's game well before I ever went to a Raiders game. And so me and the A's, the A's are the OG, right? Raiders are definitely number one, but the A's are the Raiders are my ride or die. The A's are my OG, so to say, right?
Okay.
But yeah, man, it's hard. It's hard to root. It's number one. It's hard to root for the A's, period, because they freaking suck. But
because they suck,
and the old ownership mentality wasn't make them better. It was let's bring in these farm players, build them up, and then trade them off. And Donaldson and freaking Cespedes and oh gosh, we don't want to go back to that year. Anyway,
the list will go on a long way.
So we've been America's farm team for the last several years. Not interested in winning. We had a little Moneyball run, but that's over and done with. So being an A's fan already is difficult. It's hard, and then to have this happen. And then to see the reaction from it, and I guess I got two thoughts on it. One, it's smart. What's the owner's name now? Caval, whatever his name is, Dave Caval.
Oh yeah, well he's not an owner, but he's the
acting owner guy.
Yeah, face of the organization since Billy Bean got promoted. Yeah.
So not Lou, since Lou Wolf kind of stepped away from it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it's smart. He's very, very smart, capitalize on the fact that the Raiders are leaving and that they chose to leave, capitalize on that story, if you will, by them, and then start the hashtag rooted in Oakland. If you notice, as soon as the vote went down, I think it was the next day, the A's were doing something in the city. Yeah. They were painting murals everywhere. It was like they were doing their thing. Very, very smart. So I'm not knocking them for not being smart. But let's not pretend that the A's didn't want to move from Oakland several years ago, and the only reason they didn't move is they were freaking blocked by the Major League Baseball from moving. So let's not pretend that the A's were all in on Oakland either. They're simply making a smart business decision for the organization by capitalizing on the Oakland Raiders leaving. All three teams that are currently in Oakland wanted and are doing so to leave Oakland. That's a fact. There's nobody that can refute that whatsoever. That's 100% fact. And the only reason that Oakland has one team now is Major League Baseball blocked that freaking team from moving where they wanted to go. Now, they still could go to Fremont. They still could go to, Milpitas, Oakland Athletics, wherever they can move to. They still could move, but, we'll see what happens. So it's hard. It's hard to see. It's like I sent out the tweet a while back. It's like seeing your parents fight, It's like, hey, I love the Oakland A's, love the Oakland Raiders, but now they're fighting. And now it's difficult to, I feel like I have to choose which one I love the more.
Yeah.
And I'm always going with the Raiders, right? I'm always going with the Raiders, but there's always a soft spot in my heart for the A's and stuff like that, And so I just feel like mommy is going, see, look at daddy. He was a jackass. I told you. I'm like, yo, moms, don't be talking crap about dad. I feel like the A's are kind of talking crap about the Raiders and stuff,
Yeah, they definitely are, and I think that the part that's disappointing to me is that it's done without any reference to historical fact. You know what I mean? Like you said, like it's irrefutable stuff. Like these things really did happen, so don't pretend like they didn't. And that's the part that it's fake, and that's unfortunately what a lot of social media is. And I'm not referencing anything political. I'm just saying that you can put anything out there, and you can act like anything. You can front like anything, and they're fronting like, oh, we're old school. We're rooted in Oakland. That's the biggest load of BS ever. You're not rooted in anything. Mm-hmm. You're rooted in money. That's what you want to know what pro sports is rooted in? Money. The green. It ain't green collar. It's green backs. That's what you're freaking rooted in. And that's what, and so don't make a front that there's some damn loyal thing. It's the stupidest dang thing in the world. And look, I get it. It's marketing and they're capitalizing on it. And frankly, they should, because they can't sell out a goddamn game unless it's opening day. So I get it why you are marketing to that, but it's tough as a, like you. My first experience at the Oakland Coliseum was in utero at the 72 World Series. Okay,
there you go.
I've been to went to A's games way before I ever went to Raider games, and went to way more A's games than I ever have been to Raider games. So, my fandom is there's a whole different level of fandom, but the way you described it is perfect though. And it's tough, and I think it would be easier if it wasn't already such a challenge to begin with, like you mentioned. Like, to give a most recent example, not to mention the Josh Donaldsons of the world and the Cespedes and the going back to Maguire and Giambi and Miguel Tejada, and you name it, the list goes on and on for players that have come through, the Nick Swishers that you become a fan of and then you see move on. But it's going to happen to Sonny Gray. God forbid the guy actually be healthy and pitch well, because that means that he's going to be a Red Sox before we know it. So it's already, as I'm sitting here at my office looking at my autographed picture of Sonny Gray. Like that, now, if I had to pick a player, because Josh Reddick got traded away, now I would have to say Sonny Gray is probably my favorite athletic right now. He's the guy. And guess what? He's not going to be here if he does well. I'm actually kind of hoping that he doesn't play so well, so he could still be on the damn team. That's the most ridiculous position to look at your favorite baseball team from, and this is what the conditions we're under. So then they capitalize and are taking shots at our beloved Oakland Raiders now? Are you kidding me? F you, A's. Don't do that. That's not cool, man. Yeah, it's already tough enough.
I hear you, but moving forward, it's
all right. Phew. Well, I thought we were going to be positive.
I know, it's positive. Raiders, positive about the Raiders.
So we picked another team to yell at.
Yes, it's hard. It's hard being a Raiders fan right now, man. It is. It's difficult. It's hard. What freaking team has moved twice from their home team, right? No, T, that's unprecedented. Everything the Raiders do is unprecedented, right? Hire their first black coach, Tom Flores, right? Hire their first woman in front office, right? Everything the Raiders do is unprecedented, right? We're gonna rip out a fan base's heart twice. But you also know what's gonna happen? We're gonna be the first team to win 3 Super Bowls in 3 different freaking cities. So it's like everything the Raiders do is unprecedented, and that's just kind of what comes with the territory. You like it, great. You don't, move on. Go be a Buffalo Bills fan. I'm done. What else you got?
You know, the Raiders are kind of like Uncle Louie. You know, married and divorced the same woman twice.
There you go.
Aunt 1 and 3 and Aunt 2 and
True
4.
story.
Yeah, and right now the Oakland is Aunt 1 and 3. Freaking Vegas is Aunt 4. Right. Welcome to the family, Vegas.
Let's talk about something positive. Beast motherfucking mode.
Ah, there we go.
So,
how about it? Rooted in Oakland.
Rumors are continuing to swirl. This week, I think it was this week, right? Seattle gave permission to the Raiders to talk to Marshawn Lynch to have some ongoing, which they've been talking already. I mean, come on, right? Yeah, so now it's officially been approved for the Raiders to talk to Beast Mode, which again is setting up this Disney type movie scenario to where, yes, the Raiders are moving, but they're going to bring in Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch, hold my blank, for the last couple years while they're in Oakland to help bring in a championship or 2 or 3, and then they're going to take off. What do you think the trade value for a guy like Marshawn Lynch is? I guess is now that's kind of the question right now. It's like obviously everybody wants him to come play. If you're a Raiders fan, you kind of want him to come in. You're excited about this. You're like, yeah, that'd be pretty freaking sweet to have Marshawn Lynch, But again, this isn't the Marshawn Lynch of the 2011 run against the Saints. This is a guy who's been out of football for a year. He's 30. He's going to be 31 by the time the season starts. What kind of shape is he in? He's taken a lot of hits. He wasn't a run out of bounds kind of running back. He was I'm going to run you over and run you over and run you over and run you over and run. He was that kind of a guy. So we know McKenzie is not a guy who's going to stretch, right? McKenzie's not going to overpay or over give for something, right, in return. So what do you think it's going to take to get Marshawn to the Raiders, I guess is my question.
Well, to answer that question, we got to consider his value. So what is his value? Now, we know that running backs historically, for the most part, fall off a cliff when they're 30 years old. It's just the nature of the beast. And especially when you're talking about a punishing runner like Marshawn Lynch. Now, there is a couple of things working for him. One is that he because he has been out of football and he's been out for a year, he hasn't taken that punishment. So does that mean he gets that 1 year back? I don't know. And then if you look at the way that has been trending in very recent history, these guys there is evidence that they can go and cross that 30-year-old threshold a little bit if you're talking about a special player, and we are talking about a special player with Marshawn. So what is his value? Well, I think we can take 1, 2, and 3 off the table. Reggie is not going to give a pick up in the first 3 rounds. So that leaves us with 4 through 7. So does that mean a 5? Is that a reasonable exchange of value to be able to assign a Marshawn Lynch? And will the Seahawks also be eligible for a compensatory pick from the NFL or anything? I don't know. So if you're looking at getting a couple of 5s or a 4 and a 5 out of it, I think that's enough. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was coming out of retirement. So, I mean, really, you're getting something for nothing, essentially, if you're the Seattle Seahawks. So I think that as long as we're talking about that type of a thing, then we're fine. And as long as the money isn't goofy, I don't anticipate that it is. I think that's the reason that they haven't even entertained somebody like Adrian Peterson is that he wants money and he wants it past a year or two. And the Raiders aren't going to do that. The Raiders, we have to sign Khalil Mack and we have to sign Derek Carr. The Raiders, if
and
anybody,
Gabe Jackson.
And Gabe Jackson, right? So if anybody's going to get any money, that's the guys that are going to get money. So for right now, money, you're only talking about maybe a year, 2 tops, and you're talking about all your guarantees on the front end. Like, that's the kind of contract. That's why they're not even going to touch Adrian Peterson. He wants $8 million a year, and so you're talking like, $30 million over 4 or something stupid with 20 guaranteed. Like, that's the kind of contract he's going to want. The Raiders aren't going to go anywhere near that. So if you can get Marshawn for $4 or $5 million a year, give him his money guaranteed up front, and lose a 4th or a 5th, I think that's probably what we're looking at to get him signed. And is that going to be enough to get him signed? I think it would. Because I think he's going to give the hometown discount. I think he wants nothing more than to come in, get that one last shot at the ring, obviously because he was so close and should have had the last one, right? Literally, he should have been the one to win it. So I think that you're going to get him at a relatively, good discount. And I don't think the Seahawks have a goofy expectation as far as compensation in return. Now, I could be totally wrong, but this is not the old days. This is not the AFC West Seattle Seahawks. I mean, if we were talking about that, good luck. Then this probably would never happen. But, Pete Carroll is, and the way that this organization is now is long removed from those days. So
if we,
I think it's
if
fair.
we trade for him, don't we get him under the contract that he's already on with Seattle?
Well, I don't know. Is that what it is? Is that what you would do? Is that you would trade for his existing contract?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, think about when you play Madden.
It doesn't become void, and then you have to re-sign him. It doesn't work like that.
Think about Madden. If you trade for the guy, you take on his contract for the duration of it. You don't pay the bonus money. If there's any bonus money coming to him, Seattle eats that. And I don't know what his contract is essentially, but we would just pay for whatever the contract is already in existence that he has right now. Now I don't know if it changes because he retired, and I don't know about all that kind of stuff.
That's what I wonder. I don't know if, as far as retirement goes, how that works. Is that when does the contract become void? I know people are probably screaming at their devices and their stereos right now, and I'm sorry we don't know that, but we're not
back
analysts.
in.
We're just a couple of fans. But
I want to say 2015 or 2014, he agreed to a 3-year, $31 million deal.
That's what I'm saying, man. I think it's done. I think it. But does that last year? Does that carry over then?
In 2017, if he plays, it's a base salary of $7 million, along with a $3 million roster bonus due on the 5th day of the 17 year. So we wouldn't pay that. So we'd be paying him $7 million. So is he worth $7 million?
$7 million and a draft pick. Yes, I think for a shot at considering where this team is built now, this is a win now team. This is
so
it.
Then,
like it's go.
So
time.
Peterson wants $8 million. So do you think $7 million in a draft pick for Lynch is a better value than $8 million for Peterson?
Yeah, because Peterson wants to go past a couple of years, right? He's looking for like a 3 or 4 year deal kind of a thing is what he wants. He wants something that's longer term, and the Raiders are not in the long term business for running backs. That's not what they have bigger priorities in Mack and Carr. That's where, and you mentioned Jackson as well, but you're talking about defensive player of the year and a franchise quarterback. Like, it doesn't get more expensive than that.
And I agree with you, but I think the bigger thing is Beast Mode's Oakland. And I think that really is the thing with him. If Beast Mode wasn't from Oakland, would we take a shot on him? I don't think so.
No, I don't think we're having this conversation, and I don't think, frankly, he's coming out of retirement. I don't think he's coming out of retirement to play for anybody else but the Raiders. I don't. No, I think that this is a very, very conclusive type of thing here.
Backfire? Could this backfire? Could we be? It's almost like I wonder if this is more of a want than a need for the Raiders. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want a 70-inch TV. I don't need a 70-inch TV, so therefore I don't go buy one. When you do things based on a want, that's when you get yourself in trouble. So I'm wondering if the Raiders want Marshawn Lynch more than they need him, and if they're doing so in light of Vegas, in light of leaving Oakland, in light of all these extracurricular off the field kind of stuff Is this going to backfire on the Raiders if we go out and get Lynch?
Well, when you do a budget or you're considering things, you have your wants, your needs, and your nice to haves, right? So if we look at it like this, okay, the Raiders need a short down back. They need
Correct.
that. We don't have anybody on the roster right now. All right. So does he fill that need? Yes. So if you look at, let's just scan the horizon at the needs for this team. Does he fit the need? Yes. The nice to have is, well, let's be nice to have the guy from Oakland. Like, let's do that. We already have, a perception issue. We have a little bit of a backlash that we're dealing with. So instead of signing this guy over here, let's sign this guy over here that will bring a lot of goodwill along with them as well. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that at all. And they're definitely filling a need. Again, Reggie's not stupid, and Reggie is very frugal, and Reggie is very objective oriented. He is not going to do something just cause. Otherwise, he'd have made a run at Chris Long. A few shows ago, I went and rhapsodized about, how cool it would be to have Chris Long.
Yeah,
you know what?
Yep.
Chris Long doesn't want to be a Raider, and Chris Long didn't need to be a Raider. And because if this were all about just goodwill and merriment and, we're gonna pursue legacy and blah blah blah, well then Chris Long would have been a Raider a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not how Reggie McKenzie rolls. He doesn't do that. So I think that he is looking at this strictly from a numbers and a need perspective. And then the nice to have is, well, it could be the guy from Oakland. So let's do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of covering two of those spots there. Okay, moving forward, what else you got, Murph?
So I think it was kind of funny that we talked about, how the Raiders are marketing themselves. And, it happened real quick that Derek Carr made his first appearance ever already in the city of Las Vegas. Did you see that at the
award show, right?
Academy of Country Music Awards? Yeah, Academy of Country Music Awards. I thought that was really interesting that they immediately put Derek Carr on display as far as a representative of not only the Oakland Raiders but the city of Vegas. I thought that was pretty interesting.
He's quickly becoming the face of the new NFL. Remember when Marino and Aikman and Young, all those guys drifted away? Then it became Rodgers and Brady and Manning and stuff. Well, now all those guys are kind of drifting away. They're still there. Brady wants to play till he's 75 years old, and who knows how long he's going to play for. But Carr is kind of the face of the young guys. I think he's the face. Now, obviously, I'm biased, but I mean, what better guy to represent the NFL right now than Derek Carr? Is there a better quarterback in the league? I mean, I guess two questions. One, is there a better quarterback in the league than Derek Carr? Two, is there a better quarterback to represent the league than Derek Carr? If you think about, again, I guess maybe this is the Derek Carr fan show now. If you think about all of the recent issues with domestic violence in the league, here comes Derek Carr. If you think about the substance abuse issues in the league, here comes Derek Carr. Right? You think about, driving infractions, PEDs, all that kind of stuff. Here comes Derek Carr. Like, is there a better guy right now to represent the NFL than Derek Carr?
Man, I don't think so. I think he's young, he's capable, and he's good looking. Like, what else do you need to be a celebrity, right? I mean, he's the best at what he does, and we talked about this, I think, even a few shows ago too. That he's actually poised to become the next, as what you mentioned, it was Marino and Elway, and then it transitioned to Favre and Young, and then I know there was more. There was the Aikmans of the world, all that stuff too. But again, the faces of the leagues are its quarterbacks. Right now, it's Cam Newton. Right? You could argue that Dak Prescott is on the precipice of that. It's Aaron Rodgers. It's those, and I think that Derek Carr is the next in line of those guys, and I mean, it's what more could you ask for? And so now, as far as ability and capability goes, I mean, Aaron Rodgers just broke up with Olivia Munn, so a lot of people are saying, "Oh, good,
great!" He did really? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, he did. He really did. Yeah, I read that this morning.
They're Super Bowl favorites again,
and it's not like I know, right? And it's not like he was even horrible during the time they were dating, but some would say that his production fell off. But anyway. So, I mean, but when you look at actual pure talent, like, this is probably my fandom talking, but I think if I really took a minute and answered it candidly after thinking through of the 32, individuals that are blessed to be quarterbacks starting in the NFL, he's on the short list. Like, I mean, yes, Rodgers, yes, Brady, but he is almost as old as I am, and I'm way too old to be playing quarterback. So, I mean, like, when you think about that, like, so longevity is certainly not on his side by any means. So it's a pretty short list. I mean, again, it's, Drew Brees is not on that list because, again, longevity. So when you look at guys that are going to be around for a long time and are already approaching the pinnacle of their game and the prime of their careers, it's Jared Carr. It's Cam Newton. Those are the only two that keep popping into my head. Give me another one. Like, who else are we talking about? Eli's on his way out. Rivers is on his way out.
Breeze is on his way out.
Breeze is on his way out. Tannehill never got there. Tyrod Taylor never got there. Come on, Matt Ryan? I mean, is that it? Is that the class? Matt Ryan? I mean, he was almost MVP this year, right? Or he was MVP, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was MVP. So, I mean, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Derek Carr? Are those our top three?
Yeah, it's a short. Yeah, it's
that's pretty short list. I mean, you see what I'm saying though. So I mean, I think absolutely that he's going to be the face of not only our franchise but a face of the NFL, and that's awesome. It's been a long time since we had somebody like that.
So we're gonna go from guys you want to be the face of the NFL to a guy whose face I can't stand seeing in the NFL, who potentially was rumored this week to might become an Oakland Raider, Richard Sherman. Do you want Richard Sherman on the Raiders?
I thought about this. Is a fun one to think about. It's like, okay, how many former Seahawks can we accumulate?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
With of course Malcolm Smith is gone now, but Bruce Irvin and and then the talk of Marshawn and Lynch and then Sherman. But I like Sherman's game a lot. He's one of those guys that I enjoy watching play. I think that he's dynamic at his position, and he's the kind of guy, much in the history of the Raiders. He's a cornerback that can take over a game. Much, you know what I mean? We're talking about Hayes and Haynes and Willie Brown and
the Raiders love their lockdown one-on-one corners. They love those guys.
Love them. And they're few and far between nowadays. The way that defenses work and the way that zones are, you don't see guys like Richard Sherman where it's like, there's your spot that's your side of the field. Like, that's it. Like, nowadays you see guys, remember when we had Namdi and all that stuff? Like, they would move around all over the place. But, and Namdi in his heyday, I mean, he was him and Revis.
He was the man.
They were the best.
He was the man.
But he was the man, but they moved around. They moved around spot. They didn't just have a spot. And so Al did a little bit. I know that it's debatable how all those orders came down and all that. But anyways, in today's NFL, no, you don't get that very often. And that's the way Pete Carroll plays him. He just puts him on that left side, and then that's where he stays. So that, to me, is appealing. Like, that is really cool. But the downside of it is a couple of things. One is that I think they would have to give up too much to get him. And we've already talked about how Reggie loves his 1, 2s, and 3s, and I don't think that the Raiders are going to come off anything like that to get him, and I think that's what it would take to get him. Plus, he's got a big fat contract, and as we already talked about, the Raiders have money, but they don't have the kind of money to just be slinging it around because they got to pay.
They don't got stupid money.
They don't got stupid money because we got to save that stupid money to pay our two greatest players of this generation. So I don't see that making sense. But the other thing too is his mouth. Like, we don't have anybody like that on this team right now, and I'm kind of over those guys. And look at the feud that he had with Crabtree. Like, you don't talk about upsetting the dynamic of the locker room.
I didn't even think about that.
You know what I mean? Like, I think he's got just one too many bags to bring with him to Oakland. That I know he's a Stanford guy and all that, and like that part of it. There's some appealing things, and on the field it's very appealing. But I think that the Raiders have done a very good job of moving away from players that, here's to use a word again, can be distractions, and Richard Sherman's big fat mouth can be a distraction. You know what I mean? Like, you get sick of hearing him. He's one of those guys, and I'm all about players being vocal and all that kind of stuff, but he's just kind of turned up a little bit too much all the time. It's like eventually it just becomes white noise, and I don't think we need anybody like that in the locker room. I think it would upset the chemistry too much, and I think he would be too expensive despite the attractiveness of what he could do on the field.
I didn't want him. I don't want him, and I didn't even make the connection. I don't know why of him and Crabtree being on the same team together, and that would just be awful. His contract is $11 million, so we'd be paying $11 million to have him for this year and for next year. But I don't want him because of his mouth. His character. I mean, I guess he has good character to a certain degree. He does a lot of good things.
He does, and he's a smart guy.
I don't like the way he handles. I don't like the way he presents himself. I guess is the more appropriate term. And to a certain degree, as fans, you don't know these people. We could say all we want about Derek Carr, but who knows what he does in the privacy of his own home, right? So all we know is how these people present themselves to the media and to us as fans. And I don't like the way Sherman presents himself to the media and us as fans. He presents himself as an arrogant a-hole, and frankly, I don't think there's room on that on the team. I think that would disrupt the nucleus of the Oakland Raiders. Now, at the same time, it would help us on the field quite a bit, especially after we kind of whiffed on Sean Smith last year. It would present a huge upgrade in our secondary, which we need, and it would help the pass rush, which we need. So, I'm torn a little bit. While it'll be good for on the field, but, at the end of the day, I care more about character than anything else, and so I don't want him. I'm kind of mad they're even discussing it with him, but I think it's more rumors and speculation than anything else.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think that there's a way. There's not a way for this to make sense unless their Seahawks are just willing to let him walk on the cheap, and they do the Raiders some kind of a favor. Which, considering all the Lynch stuff that's going on, I don't see that happening. I don't. He's going to end up being a Redskin, or what I mean. He's or a Cowboy or something like somebody, or a Ram. The Seahawks probably won't let him go in the division, but that's the kind of place that he's going to go. The Jets. He'll go somewhere where somebody's willing to overpay him. And even though they're inheriting a contract, they're going to have to overpay in terms of compensation back to the Seahawks. Yep. And so I think that's ultimately what we're looking at. So I don't think it's going to happen for the Raiders.
Good.
So now, speaking of guys that have, I don't want to say big mouths, but have a potentially abrasive presentation of themselves and currently does wear a uniform of the silver and black. We have threatened to kind of go in on this guy a couple of times based on his
we're going to go
history.
Here, huh? Okay.
We're going to go here because I'm talking about Marquette King, and look, I've loved Marquette King since he came in. I said it way back before, like 3 podcasts.
We've loved him for a long time.
Ago. When we used to do Sports Degos, we talked about this guy's a boomer. He's going to come in. We're going to let Leckler walk because of this guy we got on deck. This kid, years ago, we talked about Marquette. We loved him. And I still love him. We loved him a long time. I think he jumped the shark a little bit, though, with some of his antics. The whole thing with Talib at the Pro Bowl and yanking the chain and all. I think he crossed the line. You kicking the food in the store and all that. I think he crossed the line. But then this week, he started to win me back a little bit, and I'm curious to what your thoughts are on it. I don't know if you saw it, but Marquette's last couple of big tweets that he had out there. One was on Derek Carr's birthday.
Punt the cake.
He punted a birthday cake, which was cool. And then also this last week, he punted a football and had somebody hand him a shotgun, and he shot the football. Now listen, he missed. Which, look, I'm a guy I love to shoot, trap and skeet. You should have made it. You should have made that shot, shooting something as big as a football.
How could you not? Yeah, exactly.
You miss it. But still, the fact that he did that out there in the desert, that was pretty legit. Like he kind of started to win me back a little bit. So as much as we've been wanting to go in on this guy and kind of dog him a little bit for some of the stupid stuff that he's done, I kind of give him props on these last couple. They've been good, and hopefully he can maybe learn his lesson and kind of rein it in a little bit and, chill out with some of the dumb stuff and just do more of the fun stuff like that is what endeared us to him to begin with.
Marquette King. Marquette. He's kind of like that girlfriend you have in high school. It's kind of wild. You kind of like her, but she's going to get you in trouble, or kind of that friend, that's going to get you in trouble, but you can't just, you just, there's something about him that attracts you to him and stuff, There's something, charisma. He has lots of charisma. Marquette has a lot of charisma, which is good and bad. And I think he went a little too far for a while there. And, granted, who the hell am I to criticize another man? I'm sure he don't care. But as a Raiders fan and a guy who's looking at Marquette King as a representation of the Raiders, what he did on Valentine's Day with the bear and stuff, and there was just about a series of about a month where it seemed like he was kind of unchecked, a little undisciplined. And I think, didn't even Bruce Irvin tweet at him or something like that? Somebody on the Raiders said kind of slow your roll to him a little bit, which is good, which needed to happen. Because for about 2 months, me and you, we talked about it all the time in private, never got to it on the show. And then now we're getting to it. And now it's finally, well, he's kind of turned the corner a little bit and stuff, And so I think it comes with the territory of the guy. I think, he's the first, when's the first time a punter's ever been relevant in the league? And so,
other than, Leckler.
Leckler, but
or Pat McAfee. Well, no, Pat McAfee. He was
a little loud.
Yeah,
but when's the
McAfee? Yeah, and he did.
Leckler
and he did the whole. He's a Twitter guy.
Yeah, Leckler was good on the field, but you never heard from him. And so, Marquette's like, hey man, punting's cool. Look at this. He's doing the trick shots in the summertime or in the Pro Bowl and stuff. With the hoops, kicking the ball to the hoops and stuff like that. So there's very endearing qualities about him for sure. And, hey, if the team loves him, then I love him. I can disagree with some of the stuff he does on the interwebs and stuff like that all day long. But, if he's not causing distractions and he's good for the team and good on the field, then more power to you, man. And it seems like he's calmed down a little bit. And so I respect that. I respect that for sure. Now, question, is he going to get in trouble in Vegas? If you had to pick one, if you had to pick one guy from the Raiders, who's gonna get in trouble in Vegas? We all know Donald Penn and his story, right, with baby mama and stuff like that. Yeah. Marquette. If you had to pick one guy, who would it be?
The easy target is, well, he's not, who knows if he'll ever be a Raider again or even play in the NFL, but Alden Smith would be the guy that, it's probably a good thing that he doesn't come with us to Vegas. If that's not just a bomb waiting to explode, I don't know what is. So that's probably a good thing. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
After he got busted.
I feel sorry.
You know what? I was just going to say, as much as I'd love to sit here and take a shot at him, it was kind of heartbreaking. I felt really bad for him. He's the guy. That guy needs help. And it's kind of easy rhetoric for people to say that, I just wish these people would go out and get help. And a lot of times it seems a little hollow when they say things like that. But for real on this one, I really do hope he gets help. As a Raider fan, I could care less if he ever plays another down in the NFL again for our team or for another one. Just get your shit together. Get your stuff together, Alden. I really do. I hope you get it figured out because that type of and you work with your livelihood is working with folks that have issues with drug and alcohol addiction, and that pattern and that life path that he's going down ends in one of two ways, if I'm not mistaken. Right? You're either dead or you're in jail.
Yeah, to a certain degree. But the saddest part about the video is that nobody was there with him. He's all by himself, and I think that's the lie. That's personified with that lifestyle. Is he got a lot of friends, but when he got in trouble, he was walking out by himself. And that to me was the saddest part, is that you have a young professional athlete, lots of money, and he walked out of there by himself. So I know that was kind of old school, but or old news, but we never really talked about it. So I hope he gets help for sure. And that's definitely the guy you don't want in Vegas with all his issues and stuff like that. So.
But outside of that, I can't think of anybody else that would jump out at me that would be a risk. But again, we don't know. We don't know these guys. Know. It could be Shalik Calhoun for all we know. And I'm not taking a shot at Shalik. I'm sure he's a swell guy.
Janet Kowski busted with 7 strippers at his house. You don't know.
Actually, you know what? Remember him back in the day, right? He did get busted for some stuff at Florida State. So he's an old school guy now. So I'm sure he's grown out of that phase of his life. But you never know, man. You never know what. Like you said, you don't know if Derek Carr goes at home at night and kicks the dog. We know it is his public persona and his public.
Let me stop you right now. Don't ever say anything. Don't ever say anything like that again about Derek Carr.
Don't ever talk out against the Carr again.
You repent now, or else I'm finding a new co-host. If you ever say something like that again about Derek Carr. Sheesh. What the heck is this?
I'm sorry. I'll get back to talking about his dreamy eyes and coiffed eyebrows.
And his 3-inch freaking eyelashes. All right. Anything else? We're up against the clock here.
Well, yeah, I got more, but we're gonna run out of time. So once again,
Anything
I have this.
Anything pressing?
No, nothing pressing. Other than as far as news goes.
Whoa!
Todd Downing.
Cannon jersey giveaway.
Oh yeah, we need to do that. I'll tell you what. Let's let me see. Hold on, I got the list here. Hold on. We can edit this down if we need to. I have the list of people and that contributed. So we're talking about the Rich Gannon jersey giveaway, where we are going to give it away to a fan at random that a Raiders fan at random, not a fan of the show, but a Raiders fan at random that went on to our iTunes and rated and reviewed our show. And so we have a list of here. Whoops, is that me? Oops, hang on, I'm bringing it up here.
Me, sorry.
Oh, okay. Go to, let's see. Let me get there. Okay, hold on. It's coming up. There we go. Ratings.
So
and
we want to appreciate everybody too. Like we had a lot of people like chime in and stuff. That was tight. That was cool.
Yes, absolutely. And we asked the guys and gals that you contact us and let us know that you did it. So I have a list of 5 here. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So in no particular order, I have these 5 here that I'm looking at. So you pick a number between 1 and 5, and I'll let you know who it is.
4.
That is our friend Aaron Chambers. That is the president of the Oakland Raiders Booster Club in Bend, Oregon. That's Bend, Oregon Raider Nation. And he is also a member of 4Dub, one of the rap groups, the hip hop groups that does a lot of Raider only anthems. So congratulations to Aaron Chambers. We will contact you, or you can feel free to reach out to us, and we'll get some shipping information from you, and I will send you the Rich Gannon jersey. Congratulations. Very cool.
Very cool. Appreciate you doing the giveaway. That was pretty neat. We're in talks of creating some T-shirts and some mugs and all sorts of fun stuff for the show. So stay tuned for that as well. All right, draft. Should we do a draft show in 2 weeks or what? When's the draft? In a couple weeks?
Yeah, draft is in right at 3 weeks, something like that. So what's today? Friday. So yeah, draft is 3 weeks from today, maybe.
So in 2 weeks.
So they start on Friday night. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So we need to definitely do a draft show. We didn't get to it today, but Todd Downing was on Good Morning Football.
I seen
Excellent
that.
interview with our new offensive coordinator.
I'm excited about that. I'm
fired up about this guy. So we'll get to that on the next show. We'll talk a little bit to him. We have some old Raider audio files that I've been threatening to get to him, but we keep running out of time. And they're going to be like the Matt Damon on the. I know we're going to keep bumping.
Oh, I'm so mad.
Sonny, it's cool stuff. But hey, look, you want to neglect the history just because I know nothing happened before 2006, right?
Yeah.
Or whenever Facebook was, whenever it was. But yeah, so we'll get to that one of these days. But that's all I got, man. That's all I got for this week. So appreciate once again to Richard for coming on the show, and good stuff.
All right, we again appreciate Richard Cervera for coming on the show, president of the Las Vegas Booster Club. Check out that interview. When you're going to Vegas for games in the future, make sure you hit Richard up, and they're doing good work down there in the entertainment capital of the world. Thanks for tuning in to Raiders Fan Radio. You can reach us on iTunes, Podcast Addict, Stitcher, all of your, I think we're on SoundCloud as well, and maybe YouTube. And we're flirting with bringing you some live video coverage before games, and maybe some random video postings throughout the week. Websites.
Tune in now. We're on TuneIn.
On
TuneIn, we're now on TuneIn. Yep.
TheDegos.com, on Twitter at Raiders Fan Radio, Facebook Raiders Fan Radio as well. And good things are happening to the Raider Nation. Good things are happening to the Raider Nation. The team is good. The fan base is good. We've gone through some struggles. But you know what, Murph? You know how a muscle builds? It has to get torn down.
You wear it out.
You gotta tear it down. You got to wear it out, and then it comes back stronger. And Raider Nation, we've had a difficult couple weeks. We've had a difficult several months, to be honest with you. And with the Derek Carr injury, with the Vegas stuff. But you know what? I got a sense that Raider Nation is going to come back stronger and more unified. We're going to get a championship in Oakland. We're going to go to Vegas, get another championship in Vegas, and our stadium is going to be the stadium of the NFL. It's going to be hosting Super Bowls and all sorts of stuff, and our team, led by the 3-inch eyelash having Derek Carr, is going to be leading the freaking future of the NFL. Good times are ahead for the Raider Nation. Don't jump ship. Stay on board. Good things are happening. And like Pinky and the Brain always said, the Raiders will continue to. We're taking over.